So Mortuary Affairs, that's an entire unit in the Corps in itself.
Yeah, we were the only ones in the entire Marine Corps.
And-
The unit in Dayton, Ohio. There was, I think, at the most we had maybe 37 guys.
So is it divided up? There was a Marine that died. Chance was his name. They made a,
that is after what the job we do.
That's what that's exactly what I was about to ask you. So it's split. It's kind of like with us. Like you guys got to go in and get it, bring it back, and then you drop it, and then it shifts over to them, right? There's another unit that does the.
During the invasion, we were purely on the front lines. We were there with the grunts,
right.
Or during the confusion of the gigantic sandstorm, we actually
that thing sucked so bad
in front of the grunts. So, but during my third deployment, it was mostly with the guys. The guys who had that loss would bring the remains to us. And we would process the remains. So basically going through and annotating all of like their ID cards, their dog tags, laundry markings. You're making like witness statements and you're collecting all this evidence. So Dover would make that final determination that this person is this person. But there's multiple times where if the unit was still engaged in combat or the scene was too catastrophic, they would send my team out.
Right.
So we would go out there on the scene. A lot of times this was Ramadi that we were going into and cleaning up Bradley's.
Right. Ramadi was bad. I was there 06, 07. That sandstorm you brought up in 03?
04, 05, and it left in February of 06.
So I ripped in when you were ripping out in 06. I came in right in the cold. I remember that. And then 02, 03, Iraq. That sandstorm. Hey, man, you don't think sand can get everywhere? It can get inside closed canteen bottles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like baby powder. Literally, you can slide down the dune and wipe your butt with it. It's like the cleanest thing.
Sea bags still have sand in them.
I pulled out a flag the other day to put a new one up on the flagpole, and when I unfolded it, all that sand was in there. That fine powdery dust kind of.
Nothing powder kind of.
When it gets wet and you try to step it like moon dust, right? Remember, it clumps up like flour.
It turns to concrete,
bro. It's that sandstorm. I'll never forget that sucker. That was all stopped. It like shut. It stopped all of us.
Like dig in place.
A dig in place, huh?
Yep.
Good time. Good times. All right. So when y'all go out and you collect the is that a standing unit or is it only wartime unit?
It was only wartime unit. That's why they decided to give it to the reserves.
That's pretty cool, man.
And because there's not a need for it during peacetime.
Yeah.
And so at the time we were the only ones in the Marine Corps that did what we did. But we're still training on World War II manuals and kind of making things up on the fly.
Yeah.
We really didn't know how to employ them during combat. So when we figured out that we were going to move into Iraq, they spun us up to go train some guys down in Marietta, Georgia, and guys in Anacostia Navy Yards in DC. So 2 companies before we punched out. And we were one of the first units that got to Camp Coyote, and we're building that place up. So we built a ton of scud bunkers and put up tents. And
so how long's the pump if there's not that many of y'all?
So at the time, our pumps were supposed to be like 7 months, I guess, 7 to 8 months. But there was 3 companies, and they moved those other 2 guys in after us. So then they were looking at that we were going to do the initial invasion. And at the time, they were talking about weapons of mass destruction.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
On us and that kind of stuff. And I didn't find out about this until I started writing my book, that the idea was that for us on the first wave, we're not going to make it. And the guys that we trained them in DC and down in Georgia, that they were supposed to come up and clean us up.
Right.
So
good feeling, right?
Yeah, we were expecting a ton of casualties because we divided up into 3 teams, and each of the teams had 1,500 remains. Well, we call them remains pouches, but body bags.
Yep. And how many on that team?
On my team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
At the time we had 33 plus a couple of extra guys that jumped in there. So maybe about 37.
And y'all break that down into fire teams from there?
So we broke them into squads.
Yep.
And so my team had 11.
Yeah. That's what we run into, 11s.
Yeah.
Bigger platoons be 18 men, but then the reconnaissance, recovery units, and stuff like that, and then it can go down from 11 too, if we need be. But
oh yeah,
this is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.